My name is Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com and a host on the Rinse Radio Network. I'd like to draw some comparisons tonight to what's going on in Europe and what's going on here in the United States. Now, it's a real simple thing to do, even following the mainstream media. You can look on the television here and in Europe, and you can see some kind of leader going before the camera saying the only way we can solve our debt problem is to think about it down the road, but go into further debt right here and right now. The exact same thing that happens here is happening in Europe. Give us more of your financial future so we can fix our problems, and we promise that this will be the answer. But if we look under this, we see the real sinister agenda that's happening right now. The sinister agenda that's going to evaporate nations' sovereignty, evaporate borders, and indenture you to be nothing more than a debt slave for the power elite. If we look here in the United States, the governed by crisis mentality, that has brought us everything from the initial bailouts in 2007 under George W. Bush to the current $1.5 trillion must-pass piece of crisis legislation that the president talked about today. All of it has been brought to you in crisis, and all of it indentures you to more and more debt. If we look in Europe right now, we see the exact same tactic being used. The too big to fail firms of that region have been all bailed out and saved at the cost of the people of Europe. That's why their sovereign debt loads are skyrocketing. Do not believe the mainstream media when they tell you that, Greek's problem is the people retire when they're 15 years old and janitor makes 300,000 drachma a year. This isn't the case. The case is just like there as it is here. We went into massive amounts of debt to save the financial institutions that created the debt problem in the first place. But the most sinister end goal in both cases is the evisceration of representative government. Here in the United States, recently we have our president, our Congress, putting before legislation, knowing full well when they get in front of that camera that this legislation cannot be and will not be passed. Things such as a $474 billion stimulus package or a $1.5 trillion deficit reduction. There is not the political will in D.C. to pass this because there's 535 members of Congress. So they eviscerate a representative government and give you a 12-body super Congress that can tweak legislation and ram it down our throats and ram the austerity down our throats at the exact same time. The game is the exact same inside of Europe. Sarkozy, Merkel, they meet together, and at the end of it, there is no solutions other than they know that they must have a stronger European financial governance, and it must include a Eurobond, which is tantamount to wiping out the borders inside of Europe and absolutely enslaving the people of Europe to be nothing more than debt slaves. The path is the same in both areas, in Europe and in the United States. The game is over, and it's almost as if we're in the end of a soccer match. We know that the clock has run out, but there's this weird soccer bonus time that only the officials know how much time is left. But when it ends suddenly. And that's the situation we are here in the United States as well as they are in Europe. Stories are attached. That's all I got.